Welcome back, fellow sleuths. As usual, I'm Chris, and we meet again for our second to last deep dive into Sunny. So now, let's jump into episode 9. We find ourselves inside Sunny's mind as she navigates her morality after killing Tetsu at the end of episode 8. However, after she mistook Mixie for having a knife, the reality of that scene is up for debate, but most likely true since we are talking about the Yakuza. This was an interesting episode, mostly because we finally got to see behind the curtain and begin to connect the dots, but also on a philosophical level because we spend the entire thing recapping Sunny's actions and whether or not she is good or bad, whether she deserves redemption or deletion. The argument could be made that Sunny putting herself on trial brings her sentience seriously into question. Her ability to self-reflect and choose to defy her programming for what she felt was the greater good shows that Sunny has moved from robotic black and white decision-making based on her code into the gray, which is where most human decisions are made. The themes explored in this episode reminded me of Season 2, Episode 9 of Star Trek The Next Generation. The episode's titled The Measure of a Man, where Data, the ship's very advanced android, is on trial to decide if he has personhood or if he is mere property. It's a classic episode and worth a watch if these sorts of philosophical questions really interest you. But before we talk about the plot information that was revealed, I want to call attention to the colorful feedback loop that we're able to see in this longer flashback of Masa playing the video game. Because there is something special about Sunny, and maybe it is connected to the mind-altering properties the feedback loops had on her. Maybe the other bots could not have entered the map hole to even have a crisis of conscience like Sunny's having in this episode. With all that said, we finally know Division 5's purpose was a simulation center, and Masa's ultimate goal was to have a homebot program which was to cure loneliness and presumably similar afflictions. This passion project may have been what he was referencing after Zen's school play, when he told Susie something he cared about had gone to shit. I initially thought he meant Sunny, but after this episode, he may have seen the writing on the wall after the incident in the Yellow Room. He knew they would shut down his project and saved what he could of the work that had already been done. Or, even worse, he knew the Yakuza would not stop until they had the code that allowed the homebots to harm people. And as more of the curtain was pulled back and what occurred that day was revealed, we find out the identity and backstory of the man who was deleted in the Yellow Room in episode 1. And for Masa, this was a kick in the teeth. It was like looking in a mirror, up to and including physically coming to the defense of the bot that was being harmed, just like Masa did for Trashbot after he built an almost identical connection. And although we do learn that the elusive Dark Manual was not an embodiment of Masa's dark side, the episode 1 foreshadowing from the bot technician telling Susie that one of the rumored creators of the Dark Manual is a bot is not that far off the mark, since it was built off the discarded code Masa was removing, which essentially was created by bots acting independently. However, by the end, we are still left wondering how much of episode 8's ending actually happened, since Susie and Sunny have both been shown to be somewhat unreliable narrators. If they really did find Zen, then where is Masa? Did he actually meet his demise? Did he retreat back into himself again after the failure of the homebot program? Or are we going to see him come out of hiding to save his family in episode 10? This episode dives into what it means to be a person, how much of our identity is inherited from our parents, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what comes with that, and how far off the path does one need to subjectively stray before lobotomy is ethical, digital or otherwise. Masa, with the best of intentions, has seemingly created a sentient being in Sunny, and was helping her understand what he called big emotions, and how to navigate them as her life inevitably drifted further into the gray. One last thought, this show came at a great time, because now that AI has secured itself as the new battleground in tech, and is advancing at warp speed, take a second to remember where it gets its moral compass from, whose behavior it learned from. Because if one day we are unhappy with what it matured into, then just like Sunny asked,
well, whose fault is that?
And that'll wrap it up. As usual, we want to hear your thoughts. And if you have a topic we didn't cover, drop it in the comments so we can discuss it. And I know everyone says this, but if you like what we're doing, let us and the algorithm know by liking and subscribing. It helps us out, and we really, really appreciate it. Until next time, stay sleuthy.